Hi guys, it's Gareth here from True Spiritual Awakening. This video is going to be a little bit different. I have a Telegram group and I put out a just a quick um, message, just asking for some questions that people in the group would like me to cover. I've not even looked at any of these yet; they're just compiled. And I'm going to just read them out and answer them as truthfully as I can. So, so the first question is, what is Sahaja Samadhi? So Sahaja Samadhi, um, I guess you could say it is just the Samadhi state that has developed into your every every waking day state. So basically, once you enter in Sahaja Samadhi, you are meditation. You no longer need to meditate to attain that state of Samadhi because you are now just that state. You are Samadhi. You are always in it. So to meditate, to get to a state of consciousness is just not needed anymore. So Sahaja Samadhi just is permanent meditation. You are meditation. You are not an individual meditating to reach that state of consciousness. You are that state of consciousness. Sahaja is just permanent. It's your every day waking reality. That's I've been in Sahaja Samadhi for a little bit over 2 years, or a little bit under 2 years. Um, it is basically just you no longer need to meditate. I mean, you can meditate. You can still reach other states of samadhi. There's Sahaja Samadhi is not just the only samadhi. There's Sivakalpa Samadhi, which is an awake samadhi. You're conscious. You're still in the body, but you're being held in this beautiful state. Um, there's nothing to do, nowhere to go. You can hear people talking. Um, you can be the observer of your thoughts. That's Sivakalpa Samadhi. Nirvikalpa Samadhi is when the experiencer disappears in the Samadhi. So there is awareness, but there's no awareness of yourself or experience or thought. It's just a lot of people come back from it and they think they've been asleep. It's not the same as sleep. It's similar, but it's not the same as sleep. Okay, so what is the significance of a full Kundalini awakening when thinking about the whole journey from basic self-realization to Brahman and so on? Is it a bonus or does it become necessary at some point? How far does an awakened but not completed Kundalini take you? So again, even though I give Shaktipat, Kundalini is not something I talk an awful lot about. I mean, people in the group want to talk about it all the time. The way I see Kundalini is that it's a rite of passage. It just seems to be. It is very real. It is a real phenomena. There is energy coursing through your system. It is clearing blockages. I guess it's just when the soul reaches a certain level of maturity, when the level of consciousness is at a certain state. Kundalini just naturally makes its way up into the crown, and the crown opens, and from the crown it moves up to the ninth chakra, sorry, the eighth chakra, which is like a kind of a disc above the head. There is a ninth chakra up above it again. Um, um, so does it? I mean, how far will an awakened Kundalini? I mean, I guess you can go pretty far with an awakened Kundalini. You do not need to have an awakened Kundalini to reach basic self-realization. You can have that attainment without Kundalini been awake. It is generally a very sort of a dry awakening. It's flat. There's no bliss. There's no depth. There's no Shakti with it. When Kundalini is awake, it just seems to give an extra, um, just an extra sense of depth to the awakening, of love, of bliss. When my Kundalini went all the way up into the brain, um, I mean, I guess that was it. That was, there was never never another feeling of Kundalini again. I've never experienced it. Um, so while it is going through the system, while it's in the spine, it can be really, really felt. It's almost like if you're forcing, like a river through a garden hose. It's going to be forceful as your system it opens up and it clears and it expands. The water moving through that passageway, it's more open. It's not felt as much. So yeah, early on you feel it loads. It can be violent, it can be exciting, it can do all sorts of stuff in your system. As you know you progress, you won't feel it as much, if anything, at all. Do you? Next question is: do you get visions of gods and goddesses associated with Hinduism because you have past life connections to it, or are those from something more fundamental in reality? Um, so I guess that so consciousness is using them forms to display itself to me, in order to give me some sort of frame of reference to what I'm interacting with. Consciousness doesn't have any forms. It is formless, but the individuals in creation generally like to communicate with something that looks or resembles, a form, a figure, a human. And again, we put these identifications on this aspect of consciousness. It's, we give it multiple arms so it can carry out multiple chores or jobs. So this is what it is. It's just a way for me to have an interaction or to somehow get a message. Consciousness displays itself through that form, and that form is a shared form, that's held by millions of people in Hinduism. So consciousness is it, rather than it changing each time for each individual, it will use that form. And because a lot of the practices that we do in Shaktipat and all the different, it's very closely linked to Hinduism. So if we were more into the Christian mysticism, I guess we would be met by Jesus and saints from that kind of tributary of spiritualism. Okay, next one is: there is probably many reasons, but why do you think the transmission-based spirituality isn't so well known or even uh, looked down upon in the West? It clearly works. So is the number of people who do this so small, or is it just that Westerners seekers think they can just think and contemplate themselves into enlightenment? Yeah, well, it's a number of them. I guess people just don't know about it. They think it's woo woo spiritualism. It is probably they couldn't be any further from the truth. And I guess people just aren't ready for it. Just look, there's all different levels to this. There's entry level, there's healing, there's all different types of spiritualism, um, from Kundalini yoga to CAP to all these different things that are going on now. So does it work? It definitely does work. Anyone who knows me and sits in on my meditations, it's a very, very experiential, visceral experience. It is a direct, you become it. So it's not like you're reading about it and you're thinking about it and you're having a concept on in your mind of what it is. When you sit in my meditations or have a transmission, you become that. You attain that state of consciousness for whatever period of time. When it closes down, you kind of come back down into the body, but you will always have, had that experience. Um, okay, uh, this is connected to the previous question. Do you see this path you're offering as something that's not been previously available? It seems that most older spiritual paths require all sorts of disciplines and practices, or spending your days around gurus physically. Here it seems that it almost automatic what happens. Also, the descending force seems to alter the traditional way Kundalini behaves. Not sure, but personally, it feels like the higher centers get very active and it works mostly downward from there. Um, it's the fastest way. It really is. The being in the proximity of someone who is a channel for these forces is the fastest way. It's going to give you an injection of these forces into your system. It's going to bring up traumas, all the untruths in your system will get uh, brought up to the surface for you to look at. The divine forces will clear blockages. It will bring you into these direct states of consciousness. Brahman, the Samadhi states, and you have to go there to become it, um, uh, to have that realization. So that's that one. Uh, don't know what my question regarding this topic would even be, but I'm just generally intrigued and confused by how consciousness seems to have physical depth and distance in the material world. It can expand and travel in ways which seem physical, and yet at the same time there is no distance. Again, you've just answered your own question. There is no space and time. There is no distance. There are no others. It's all just the one consciousness appearing as many. Um, so the transmissions work. The energy can be sent at any distance in the world, physical world, even into non-physical dimensions to beings. If you know about them, that's just how it works. Um, Next one is just a funny thing on how consciousness uses technology. Many times I've looked at my webcam thinking, thanks to it, I've made spiritual progress. Can you think of any scenarios where technology is used even more and better way to awaken people? Absolutely. I mean, the consciousness is waking up at a rapid pace, and I definitely think it's all down to technology. We have the internet, we have phones, we can connect with spiritual beings all around the world. 20, 30 years ago, we would have had to travel to India and found a guru. You could have wasted, 4 to 6 weeks there before you realized this guru was for you, and then move on to someone else. Now you can literally, click from one website to another. You can go into Zoom meetings, feel the energy, connect to that guru. So I definitely feel that's what is speeding up this awakening on the planet at the moment. Next question is, do you think that people you work with in sessions will in time be able to transmit some of these forces themselves, or maybe something that's unique to them? Absolutely. It's happened already. There's plenty of people that I've worked with have now started to have their own transmissions. I mean, look, everybody wants to be useful to help humanity. Normally, when the mind gets involved and when the ego gets involved, it's looked at as, oh, isn't that the perfect job? I'll just walk into that and everything will be rosy. It's usually not how it happens. Usually, consciousness has its own unique way of manifesting through an individual. And if you think that your path is going to be similar to my path, um, you may start out trying to kind of mimic it or do what I'm doing, but you will be brought down your own unique way or whatever way it's going to manifest through you. Consciousness will work through whatever form is useful to it. And everybody has their own unique path and their own unique way of interacting with other individuals. So just be you. Just be you. Um, yeah, and I mean, it will manifest when it's ready to manifest. When it wants to work through you, that's when it will do it. Next one is a huge amount of people have gotten into what they think is spirituality because they want to manifest this or that. Again, that's just what I've said, and think that that is spirituality. I don't know if true spiritual progress gives you any more ability to affect change in your life, but if it does, do you think it's okay for people to ease their mundane material circumstances through spiritual means? Where does one draw the line? Um, I totally agree with everything you've said in that. Um, I mean, look, people get into spirituality because they exhaust every other avenue in their life, material things, the house doesn't bring happiness, the job doesn't bring happiness, the relationship doesn't bring happiness. It's always eluding us. Every time we think we've got it, it's gone, slips through our fingers. So I guess we come across spirituality or enlightenment, and that seems to be the answer. Um, and everything's going to be rosy once I get enlightened, and I won't have to deal with any of my problems. Not the case. There's nowhere to hide once you start to become enlightened, or the enlightened awakening process starts to unfold. Normally, a person who is just caught up in ignorance and veiled by the illusion of the world around them, they have places to hide. They can hide in shopping. They can have, hide in relationships, sports, all that sort of stuff to push the hurts and the unresolved things that are in the system. They can hide. They can drink alcohol, push it all down. When you start to awaken, you cannot do this. You don't have that option anymore. Everything is raw. Everything is in your face. There is nowhere to hide. The light is shining in places where it has not shone before, and you just cannot hide. So it has to come up. You have to go through all the rawness, the uncomfortableness, the hurt, and it's horrendous for some people. It really is, and I take my hat off to people who stick at it and they just keep going and they're hurting every day. And because I talk to them, and I know what they're going through. Next one, and the last one: myth or not, spirituality makes you a nicer person. Okay, there's a lot more, but no, it doesn't. In my experience, I just feel lucky that I'm already a nice guy. Uh, I see no contradiction in being a jerk and having attained self-realization or unity conscious. Of course, there is more compassion and understanding, yet I can feel there could be a total capacity to act like a douchebag if I felt like it. Great question. Absolutely great question. Does it make you a nicer person? No, it doesn't. And I'll go into this one a little bit in depth. So, I mean, look, there's levels and levels and levels to this, right? And waking up and self-realization and unity consciousness and all them different things has nothing to do with being a nice person. Uh, uh, you know, a general nice person you've worked on the human aspect, you care about others, you just you don't want to be rude and all these different things. Now, what happens is certain beings can have great realizations, right? And all it does is it exuberates all them unresolved issues in that person. If you're an asshole, you're an even bigger asshole. Because you just kind of, you know, you just it has nothing to do with being a nice person. It really doesn't. And the further you go, the more dangerous it becomes because once you get to a place like Brahman, um, and your human really has it's no longer carrying any karma, so it's almost like you can pretty much act and do anything you want, and you're untouched by karma. So so it won't make you a nicer person. It won't. It won't. If anything, you will be more real and more raw, and people just won't want to be around you. Even if you're a nice person, the realness in you is going to come out, and people don't like realness. They don't like truth. They don't like to hear it. They want someone who's going to only tell them nice things. And when you're around someone who, uh, has really gotten to a high stage of enlightenment, you won't want to be around them because you won't be able to be around that energy field. It's going to be abrasive. It's going to be like sandpaper. It's almost like the Divine Mother works through that individual, even without them knowing, just as a channel to trigger stuff in you. It's happened to me. It's stuff has come out of my mouth around people that I didn't even, I wasn't even expecting, and it's had reactions in people, and I've kind of gone, gee, where has that come from? It's not me. It's not my mind. It's not me thinking, how am I going to be offensive to this person, or how am I going to, trigger something in this person? It's just how it manifests. It's coming out. It's just, this is how the Divine Mother, this is how the Supreme Being is manifesting in the world. You don't go, you're not all love and light. Sometimes you're the one who ruffles feathers, and that's it. And I just want to thank everyone for the questions. They were really good, some great questions in there. And yeah, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this, and I'm going to do this more because it was just a great way to get everything answered in one session. And if you want to join my Telegram group and send questions in, I'll put a link below. And like and subscribe. It really helps me. It just gives me kind of more motivation to keep producing videos like this. And if you found it useful, leave a comment and a like, because the more you comment and more you like, the more my videos get displayed by YouTube, and the more views, and it snowballs that way. So thank you very much, guys. Bye bye.